out there in the world of internet and YouTubes. It's Hit Play Friday with us two guys, James and Isaac. Not in that order, though. That's James, I think, last time I checked. We are here with another review, spoiler, or shocker, I should say. Another review. I think it's like 4 reviews in the past 5 weeks that we've had.
Let's go.
Or something like that. I'm not complaining, though, because there are some good movies coming out. But we are here reviewing Jordan Peele's new movie, Nope, which came out last weekend. We were there opening day, actually, that Friday. Before we begin, though, on Nope, I'm talking about Nope, because we have some things to say. Your, I guess, thoughts on Jordan Peele, both as, Key and Peele, because that is what made him a household name, but also his foray into directing and specifically horror films.
Are you saying that Keanu, the cat movie that they made, is not what made them a household
That's exactly what I'm saying. Yes. And if it did it for all the wrong reasons.
So I had never really seen Key and Peele, the TV show.
Sure.
It was airing at like the exact time that I just stopped watching TV in total.
It's also on Comedy Central, which it's like,
yeah,
you have to specifically want to watch something on Comedy Central. Like, it's not like History Channel, where you just put it on because something is gonna pop up on the History Channel that's cool.
Ancient Aliens.
It's like that and Adult Swim are how I feel about each other. Where it's like, yeah. I'm not turning on Adult Swim just to watch Adult Swim. Like, something has to be on at that time.
Yeah, I had grown out of my South Park and Tosh.0 phase by the time they were airing Key and Peele. I saw the movie Us first, and I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it in as far as it wasn't my kind of horror movie, personally. And then I saw Get Out afterwards, and I liked that a lot more.
Yes.
I liked it because Get Out was more... To me, it was a kind of a horror comedy.
Yeah.
It was actually really funny.
It is.
And that was what I enjoyed about it more so than Us. It also has Daniel Kaluuya in it, who I think did a great job. I think he's a great actor.
Yes.
And he also does a good job in Nope as well. So I think those two have a good relationship with each other working.
They're going to be our version of De Niro and Scorsese.
Yep. I know you are excited for.
As Jordan Peele himself said.
Mm-hmm. I mean, he's a good actor.
Sure, but, make more than 2 movies before you start saying that you're the greatest director-actor combination of the last
He didn't say
60
they
years.
were. He just compared them to the best.
No, he said, I want to be.
Oh, he did?
Yes.
He explicitly said that?
Yes. That is why. Yeah. Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah, he said, I want to be the next De Niro and Scorsese.
What's your thoughts on Get Out and Us? Or Keaton Peele?
So it should be known, I think it is known at this point, that I do not like horror movies at all.
He's a wimp.
Get out of my face with gore and gratuitous violence. I don't.
Is that what you don't like, or you just don't like being scared?
Well, I also don't like being scared. But like a good, well done horror movie that interests me beyond just getting scared, just to get scared, a la The First Halloween, a la The Conjuring, and The Conjuring 2. And even The Conjuring 3, to a degree, even though it's not as good. Like, those movies I enjoy a lot, just because there's more. I mean, A Quiet Place. Part 1, that is, not Part 2. Those movies I enjoy because there's more to watch than just being like, oh, my anxiety. Like, I don't have enjoyment from being like, I'm going to sit down and torture myself for the next hour 45. It's not fun to me at all.
Fair enough. I love horror movies.
That being said, I really did enjoy Get Out. And I thought it was original. I thought it was a social commentary that we needed to have from an unlikely source and a source that came out of left field because I don't think anybody bridged Key and Peele skits to
horror filmmaking.
Like Aaron to talking about like stuff like real world stuff and doing it in a tasteful way.
The genre, the mood whiplash of going from sketch comedy to spoilers for Get Out, a violent horror movie. I don't think many people necessarily saw that. That probably gave a lot of people whiplash the first time they saw it.
Yeah, for sure. And I think
in a good way because people loved it.
Yeah, it was, and it's original. If nothing more you could say about Jordan Peele is he is an original writer director, which is something that is a dying breed. And there was a Ringer article written like a week before this movie came out, so at this point like 2 or 3 weeks ago, that said like Jordan Peele is joining the elite or like a club of filmmakers whose bylines alone get people into seats. Yeah, which is at this point at least 3 movies in is somewhat a true statement. And it's kind of cool to see like the beginning of a director's career and like just wondering like where he's gonna go.
I think most people who have been paying attention can say at this point that he is I don't want to say a household name, but more just like a what's a good word for it? Like he is
an icon?
Not an icon, but like people already understand like his creative talent. And I think everybody wants to see where it's going to go. Yeah. There's a specific word for that is escaping me.
Comment down below
if you remember.
I'll say this too. He is he's also original, but he's also within his originality, he's creative. He doesn't rely on like stupid, like he's not an M. Night where he relies on plot twists to make good movies. Like he has actual understanding of editing, of cinematography, of lighting. I mean, this movie just is shot so beautifully well. His ability to position actors, to block out actors, and also just to direct actors and talent, and like to get evoke certain emotions in certain ways. His musical cues and what he's able to do. That takes real skill. It's not like, oh, I'm just gonna, we're gonna hack somebody to death, or like I'm just gonna put in a bunch of jump scares just to scare you. It's like, if anything, he doesn't have a lot of jump scares in his horror movies, which I think lends itself well, because it's like when you do get a jump scare, you get fucking terrified. Which I'm sure we'll get to, because there's a couple moments in this movie where I was like, oh, shoot. I mean, our friend Rebecca, who we went with, was just like, oh, shit. And I had to look at her, and she was like, I'm sorry.
I was sitting too far away. I didn't hear that, but that's funny.
It was so funny. It was funny.
I will also expand upon that. In terms of, like, his craftsmanship as a filmmaker, it kind of makes sense, because comedy relies a lot on timing, subverting expectation, and knowing how to get a reaction out of people. Yeah. And those basic skills of storytelling transfer, you can build any genre out of those, but they work especially well in horror. Yeah. Where you're getting a reaction out of people, but you're also basically just making variations on a theme, which Jordan Peele picks his themes for his movies exquisitely well, and he builds upon them, or I guess I should say he dramatizes his themes a lot more, in a much more sophisticated manner than many other directors are doing, or writers for that point. Yeah, I think horror just excels at that, because I know we have said this here on this podcast and also just off this, but like the current renaissance of horror that we're having with people like Ari Aster and freaking Robert Eggers.
Eggers, yeah, Eggers, whatever. However you pronounce his name.
He's British, so there's a British pronunciation and American pronunciation. And Jordan Peele, I think, is in that group as well, for me too.
It's exciting stuff.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. especially if you love horror movies.
And we know that freaking what's his name, the Saw guy, James. Is it James Woo?
Yeah.
Yeah, we know he's
James
gonna.
Caan.
He's
No,
gonna.
James Caan is the actor.
James Woo is gonna. Is it James Woo? Maybe I'm thinking of Henry Woo from Jurassic Park. I'm reading Jurassic Park right now, so Woo is in my head a lot right now.
His first name is James, that's for sure.
Yeah.
James Wan.
Sorry, James. Sorry, James.
You got the W correct, and I got the AN correct. We were
Stupid Jurassic Park. But James Wan, he's gonna come out with some crazy stuff because he has a whole universe now, which it's his calling card.
Like Fast and Furious.
I am very excited to see what comes next. But before we even think about what comes next, let's talk about what is
we have
in
now.
the present, and that is Nope. Any opening remarks on Nope before we break this movie down?
I would recommend this movie if you have seen Get Out or Us and you enjoy them. If you have heard a lot of buzz about Jordan Peele and you're really interested to see a Jordan Peele movie, don't start with Nope.
Yeah.
I think start with Get Out. If you have to, start with Us. But if you can, start with Get Out.
Yeah.
But I think fans of Jordan Peele's previous movies will also probably enjoy this one as well. That is my quickie. That is actually probably the best spoiler-free review of this movie that I can do.
Yeah, it's I'll just preface all of my opinions now with this statement.
I tried to avoid any opinion of my own.
I was not looking forward to watching this movie. It just wasn't a movie that remotely interested me. I thought it looked a little cheesy to a degree. A flying saucer movie. What is this? 1945.
Is this the Red Scare? Is that back?
But I wasn't interested in it. But I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go watch this because it's a director that I am interested in seeing more of his work, and it's just a new movie, and it's an original movie. And I'd be a little bit hypocrite if I was spending every episode ranting about the MCU, and then the moment an original movie comes out, I'm not gonna go watch it.
Yeah.
So I was I had to go watch it just for that. Support our original filmmakers. Yeah, I'll just say that so I went in with this low expectations. Let me start here. And I didn't necessarily go over those expectations. I wasn't blown away by the movie. And it maybe met my expectations of what I was expecting out of this movie. We'll just jump off right off the bat. It's not scary. It's scary for
it's not
2 scenes. It's suspenseful, sure.
Yeah.
But it's not if you're thinking this is Us, which was pretty freaking scary. It's not that.
No. It's definitely
more tame.
I think it's more of a just science fiction movie than anything.
Yeah. That's a good
basically. Do you want to get into spoilers now, or do you have any more spoiler-free comments?
Let's talk
to make
about
on the
the acting, the directing, the lighting, all the film bro stuff.
So first thing I want to say, we did not know who the cinematographer of this movie was before we went into it. It is the DP on set was the big man on campus, Hoyt Van Hoytema. Still have no idea how to pronounce
we will
his
never know your
after
name.
so
He's probably gonna make another 15 million movies,
and we're gonna see all of them, and we'll never know.
How to pronounce your name. Sorry, Hoyt. You should do some interviews.
You should know him. He did Interstellar with Nolan.
Yeah, everything post Interstellar.
He also did Let the Right One In, I believe, which was a good horror movie as well. I think he succeeded pretty well in this movie.
Yeah,
I'd say a lot of really good nighttime shots, considering a lot of the nighttime exteriors were filmed basically in the California desert.
Yeah,
with you have house lights maybe about a quarter of a mile that way, and then you have
we could actually see.
yeah. They mimic starlight,
Yeah.
like full moon level starlight, very well in the nighttime exteriors, and that pretty well done. Pretty well done, I'd say. Well, your thoughts on any of the actors?
I mean, the main two, Daniel and Kiki Palmer. Shout out to Kiki Palmer. I don't know what she's been up to since her True Jackson VP days, but shout out to her for being back on the screen in this way. But those two are just phenomenal. It's like it feels a real sibling relationship.
Yeah. Okay.
They mimic how I would talk to my sisters. I mean, not exactly word to word, but like the banter that me and my sisters would have was just, it's so cool.
I personally cringe a lot at sibling relationships in movies because they just don't feel accurate to me.
Yeah.
The absolute worst was Gone Girl, David Fincher's movie, in my opinion. Yeah, and this felt pretty accurate.
That's a good one.
Like, if Daniel Kaluuya was a far more extreme version of me, a far more silent version of me, and Kiki Palmer is a far more exaggerated version of my sisters, it's pretty accurate for sure. At least not accurate just compared to my relationship with my siblings, but just it was believable.
Yeah, you could tell they had a lot of
chemistry.
And the thing too about that's so hard to get, any relationship that's on screen, but especially sibling relationships, is there has to be past, right? Like you have to believe for it to work that there was, like, these people grew up together, right? They experienced the same childhoods more or less. They, obviously at some point they have branching paths, but they have that shared history of growing up together. And Jordan, whether what's in his writing or his directing or just the actors just being themselves so good at just being able to have that chemistry together, it was fascinating to see them just. Every time they talked together, I was like, "This is perfect. Like, this is a great." It is a comedy, and it just, I just laughed. I was surprised at how much I laughed, whether it was the situation, what was going on, or just the two of them just talking to each other. Because like you didn't really get that when it was everybody else where they were talking to everybody else.
Yeah,
like the fries guy was a little stupid. I didn't care for him that much.
Well, it's funny because their relationship is so believable, or at least so realistic and grounded, that all the other relationships with all the other characters suddenly seem like extremely two-dimensional.
Yeah. So. I mean, it's literally just like Fries guy shows up because he wants to see aliens.
Yeah,
and that's the end of his motive. It's just, I just want to see aliens. How do we do it?
Yeah.
There's no like underlying
relationship with the other characters.
Motivation or anything like that. So,
Steve Ewan.
I thought it was good. Steve, I didn't care.
No,
he wasn't doing anything for me.
It's one of those things where he sells his character very well. I just don't get his character. Do you think Steven Yeun is having a Brad Pitt dilemma? Where that we just know him.
You just see him and you just think Brad Pitt. Because like Kiki Palmer, we haven't seen her in so long, and she just meshed so well. Yeah. It's like perfect. Daniel Kaluuya has never played a role this muted and like introspective before.
Yeah. Half of his lines are just silence
and funny.
Dialogue. Yeah.
Like he was really funny. Steven Yeun, I don't know. I feel like this is just Glenn from The Walking Dead.
The thing for me personally, when I see Steven Yeun is in the movie, here's the thing. I admire so many other things he has done beyond Walking Dead, like the movie Burning and Minari, that I don't know. I feel like he picks good projects. And so while, yes, there is the Brad Pitt effect of, I know it's him. There's no character there. It's just him. And it's like whatever wacky dialogue he's going to say this time,
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like in the past, he's picked good things to be in. So I like seeing him in more things.
I like seeing him too. Yeah. It just felt like they could have, I don't know.
No, I definitely
give him a mustache. Give him a different haircut.
Yeah.
It's the same problem I have with Brad Pitt.
Yeah. Maybe that's
Brad Pitt just shows up to set wearing long hair and they're like, damn, all right, get the hair ladies in here.
Yeah. Maybe that's in his contract now. Who knows?
He's just that big of a high roller.
Mm-hmm.
And also just the character itself just didn't do anything for me.
Mm.
Like this is a character who has a lot of trauma, which we'll get to. But it just doesn't. You don't feel like he's holding in the trauma.
Without going into spoilers, what do you think about the visual effects in this movie?
They weren't offensive. I'll say that much to a degree. I mean, they're not. We're not. This isn't Terminator 2 in 1984 levels of sophistication, but it's also not like The Rock and Scorpion King. I don't like. I'm used to seeing Marvel movies.
Yeah.
So I'm not used to seeing them, but like I'm used to seeing that level of
Quality.
just mediocre.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It wasn't offensive.
A lot of shots in this movie with visual effects where I just think that looks pretty well done.
Sure.
There are maybe 2 or 3 specific shots in this movie where I think I have seen something similar to this with far greater quality than this.
Sure.
And I would have expected better if you were going to do such a risky shot as this.
Yeah.
And I will get into that when we do spoilers. But overall, I think it's pretty well done. One of my favorite things that they did that I don't believe was special effects whatsoever, but was actually practical. And this is in the trailer, so it's not a spoiler. But all the freaking wacky waving inflatable arm flailing tube men that they put out, I can't imagine having to be the guy who actually has to go out there and like make sure all the freaking timers on them are set so they all deflate and inflate at the exact same moment.
Second AD really got his, or not second AD, I guess that would be who would that be?
It was probably just some like
not a
gaffer.
first AD. Yeah, whoever that was, they really got. They were really worth their money.
Seriously, very well done. Outside of that, that's about all I have to say. That's not spoiler related. I would still recommend this movie if you enjoy.
Yeah, go take your. It's a good time. I'll say that much. I didn't come out of the theater, even though I might have issues with it, which we'll get into later. I didn't leave the theaters being like, well, I just wasted 2 hours of my life.
Yeah,
like it was a movie.
Would you hit play?
I've seen some bad movies in my life, so it's not.
That's fair.
Not
the worst criticism.
Love and Thunder.
We are not reviewing that. And for people who are asking, we're also not going to review Minions.
I'll just say that about this movie. Mm-hmm. It was an enjoyable movie. Not his best work. Yeah. But when you start off with a banger, it's hard to top. So
fair enough. I still stand by my recommendation, I'd say.
Sure. Yeah. No, I definitely. Yeah. Go watch it.
Mm-hmm. All right. Spoilers.
Ta-da.
All right. So when the movie opened,
we're just gonna break it down scene by scene.
The very first shot of this movie. Did it make sense to you, right?
When it opens on the farm?
When it opens on the farm. Well, before that is the monkey set.
Oh yeah. I thought so. The production company is Monkey Paw Productions.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, they're like, is this like Pixar? Short films before movies? Sick.
Our friend who saw this with us.
Visionary. Reddit had it right. It's like Jordan Peele's ushering horror short films.
What's funny is that all 3 of us, you, me, and our friend who saw this with us, we all thought the exact same thing. We were like, are they still showing short films before this?
I browsed the movies subreddit. I'm not gonna shout you guys out because you guys suck. But I was browsing that, and a lot of people were like, "Oh, I thought this was like a short film before it went on," and I thought it was just a thing for their production company.
Yeah, that's pretty funny.
So opening on that, no, it made no sense. And when I saw the whole movie and it made sense why that was in there, it was like. We could have just saved this.
That's what I will say too. In context, I understand why they have like those shots, why they structured them at the beginning of the movie.
Sure.
I think it doesn't establish the theme of the movie as well as they might have hoped it would.
Yeah.
I don't know if they even hoped that it would do that, because it doesn't do anything for that until you see the whole movie in context. It doesn't set you up for anything other than just confusion that you thought you're seeing a short film.
I thought it was more of a wow factor. Like, whoa, this monkey just ate a bunch of people. Oh crap! It's like, what's gonna happen next?
Yeah.
It's like, how does this relate to aliens?
Mm-hmm.
Me was like, oh, aliens are taking over, or aliens are taking over the monkeys because they're experimenting on the monkeys before they get to us. Like, and then Daniel Kaluuya is gonna come in and save the world. This is gonna be amazing. This is gonna be Will Smith and Independence Day. Like, this is our next action hero. Yeah. And then it wasn't that. It was more of a metaphor, or I guess not. What is like a?
No,
it's not
metaphor.
It's correct. Like a
metaphor.
I guess metaphor.
You're probably looking
but
for
it was
the word
just
allegory.
like, I don't know. Watching the whole movie is like, we could have just saved that.
That's fair. What do you then make of the entire, in full context, that subplot of the monkey has a name and I completely forgot its name. Gordy. The Gordy the monkey and Steve Ewan subplot.
So it makes sense. So I understand what they're trying to do. They're doing this whole beast versus nature, and even like the way I saw it was like how we view entertainers. Because there's also
that's a lot closer to
the
what
alien. You know, like the people are trying to watch these aliens, and an alien ends up taking over the valley, whatever. So it's like those two themes are running through, and I think actually it's interwoven very well within the film, which is even though it might be a little bit on the nose, but it feels like that's Jordan Peele's MO nowadays, or at least at this point in his career. So looking at the that subplot, it makes sense. They don't do anything with it beyond Stephen Ewan giving us the 5-minute speech and then us having the flashback.
Yeah.
That's it. It's literally just like, hey, this thing happened to me when I was a kid. We watched it. Here, let's flash back to it. Okay, that's it. It's even... I'm going to cut you off. It's even compounded worse because Stephen Ewan is like, oh, Gordy must have just snapped. You know, he's an animal. You can't train them all. This and that, whatever. And then he goes and tries to corral a freaking alien. It's like, my guy. If anything, it would make more sense if somebody else was trying to do it and then Stephen Ewan was trying to stop him. Because it'd be like, oh, yeah, well, that makes sense because he saw what happens when we try and, you know, and have these unnatural means of entertainment, so to say. Like, bad things end up happening, so let me try and stop that. But it was like, my guy, you are literally... the thing you were the evil you sought to destroy.
What's that quote where it's like, my brother in Christ, you are literally the thing that you sought to destroy.
Yeah, exactly. A little bit of Obi-Wan, a little bit of Gen X humor.
In my opinion.
So yeah, it didn't really do much for me. To answer your question, it didn't do much for me.
Yeah, that's understandable. I kept trying to think, what is this movie about? Because I didn't see any of the press releases for this, any of the trailers. Yeah. The teaser trailers, I think, were very well done. The subsequent trailers spoiled too much, and I ended up just, anytime one would come on, I would just look away, turn off the volume. So I initially thought that this was going to be a movie about climate change. I just assumed this all-consuming beast, i.e., the climate, you know, coming back to haunt us and take revenge. Yeah. Although from the trailers, admittedly, that ended up seeming not correct. As I was watching this, I thought that it was going to be more about like grief and trauma. Again, you have kind of this all-consuming entity that's a lot more psychological, but it comes and it basically will take anything in its path. You can find the connection with Keke Palmer and Daniel Kaluuya, their characters, and their father, who they
Because
lost.
we spent a lot of time talking about the dad.
Yeah. And they also spend a lot of time on Gordy the monkey.
Yeah.
And the quite literal trauma that happened to Steve Ewan's character. And then he tries to, I guess, what's the word? Not atone for it, but like, I don't know, transform it in a way, possibly in a negative way, in inflicting that trauma onto other people. As I have looked into it, this movie was much more intended to be about spectacle and the media and entertainment.
Yeah.
And so I think your interpretation is more in line with what they, Jordan Peele, that is, intended.
Mm-hmm.
And to that end, I think you can also read it. Not to say that I like my interpretation about trauma and grief more, but
So humble. So humble.
But I think the idea of this movie being about spectacle makes a lot of sense. You have here's my issue with that, though.
Oh, I have a lot of issues with that.
I feel like the Stephen Ewan character, I need to look up what the character's name itself was. Okay, Ricky Jupe. So Jupiter for short. Or Jupiter for long, I should say. The Ricky character, I don't know. If it's about spectacle, the way that he then tries to provide it after being horrified by it previously. I understand the connection between the way that people often obsess over the top and violent events and spectacles.
Yeah.
I'm looking at you, every single true crime podcast and blog and YouTube channel.
Just stop.
Out there.
Get some help.
I don't know. I would agree with you though that the idea that he would witness such a traumatic event and then try to force it to happen again just it doesn't to me necessarily work. I feel like the obsession that people in the real world and not in the movie have with violent crimes is different from what they explored in the movie.
Yeah.
There's something about the psychology that I just don't understand, mostly because I'm not into that. So I don't know anything about it. People who are into true crime probably have a far better explanation as to why it's fascinating to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's a bit of the...
Because you're crazy.
Well, maybe it's a bit of the, like, I don't want to say gallows here humor, but like, morbid curiosity, maybe. But I don't think morbid curiosity is the motive for the Ricky character at all. I think it's more so just, I know aliens exist and I'm going to show them to you.
Yeah. This brings up my number one issue with this movie is there are so many illogical choices, illogical, whether that's character choices or writing choices in this movie. Like, so this thing happens, the dad dies in the first 5 minutes. Sad. But it gets our movie going, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then 6 months later, nothing happens. Why? Why does nothing happen for 6 months? And then it's like all of a sudden, it's just like, oh, the alien's back.
Mm-hmm.
But why is the alien back? If we're led to believe, and we are led to believe, because Steven, the Jupiter guy, Ricky Jupiter, he says like, hey, we have this thing every Friday. We do this thing. If you want to come visit. And the guys are the Keke Palmer and Kaluuya are like, no, you're crazy. We're not going. Mm-hmm. So we're led to believe he does this every Friday.
Yeah.
But why does it feel like this is just not happening? At least in the Daniel, because I mean Daniel Kaluuya is just like, oh, like this is weird. I feel like if you were doing this for 6 months, once a week, you guys live like 6 miles within each other. I mean, you can see the freaking
the lights,
the stage from. It's like, to me, when I figured that out, I was like, this movie makes no sense.
I think there's two possible trigger
events. Everything
events.
just crumbled for me.
The first trigger event, when I think about this movie being more about trauma, I think the trigger event would be Keke Palmer arriving and visiting her brother, because it's there in the family, and she wasn't there to see it happen. I think if you see this more as about being spectacle, there is a single moment in which at the beginning of the movie they are in front of a green screen with the horse, and the guy comes out with his light detector, and the horse sees its reflection and freaks out. And that connection between reflections, mirrors, eyes is a big symbol throughout the film. And that might be one possible trigger event.
But like
possible because I don't I don't know.
But like there's no defining moment.
Yeah.
Because it'd be one thing if Daniel Kaluuya comes home, right? It's like end of the 6 months and he, I don't know, accidentally caused an explosion or something, right? Or even like Ricky Jupiter. He does something to piss off the alien.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, the alien comes out now.
Yeah.
It's like, that makes sense. But like this whole notion that they're having this starlight freaking lasso thing, you just, to me, you lose everything about what you're trying to say. Like it just crumbles away.
Yeah. So
it's very illogical in terms of just basic screen. This is not even like me getting deep. This is just screenwriting 101.
I'll say this. My biggest disappointment in this movie is actually the plot. Because there was a moment where I think we were maybe like an hour into this movie when I realized the entire plot is just capturing the cameras on footage. Like, and thematically speaking, for a movie about spectacle and the media, that is totally fine and perfect, because that's all it's about, is capturing that one moment. Big moment, right? Like the cinematographer says, just the perfect shot, the one big perfect moment, The issue that I had with that is I don't feel like that, because that theme doesn't feel properly established and explored towards the beginning of the movie. By the time I realized that, I just felt like there could have been a better, it didn't feel concrete enough of a plot. Yeah. It felt just like a loose string of events that came together with the same three characters, as opposed to cause and effect, something like that. That's just, for me, that was the biggest, I wouldn't even say that was a disappointment. That just kind of irked me, I guess, that it didn't feel like there was enough actual,
action.
Not just action, but maybe agency.
Yeah.
I would say. But I guess often that is how the media works.
Just motivation.
Yeah.
It's a shit motivation.
Just want to be famous and capture that. I mean, that's a lot of people's motivation right now.
But if you're going to hammer home this idea of, we have this ranch because it's our dad's ranch. We're trying to make. That's another thing too. They go nowhere with that plotline.
Yeah.
The first 20 minutes is set up to be a sibling feud because Keke Palmer wants to forget the ranch. Daniel wants to keep the ranch and keep the horse family going because that's what their dad did, and his dad before him, and it's like a family thing, and he wants to keep it going. That is an interesting backdrop again in a science fiction movie. This idea that these siblings are fighting. And then it's like, oh, the alien comes. Okay, let's just throw all that in the back burner. Yeah. We're going to try and get it.
Yeah.
It's like, I get it. You want to be rich, but like, I need something stronger. There needs to be more. Like if Daniel Kaluuya had said, I'm going to kill that freaking alien because it killed my dad, I'd be like, Yes. I'm right there with you. Just call Tom Cruise. We'll get it done.
Yeah.
Call Will Smith.
Call Ripley.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll go get it done.
Putting together a team.
But when it was like, oh, that thing killed my dad. Now let's take a picture of it to make money off of it.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I had no emotional connection to that at all.
Yeah.
Like once that was established that this is what we're doing, I was out. I was just checked out. And I was like, all right, I'm just gonna watch it just to watch it.
Yeah, that's understandable. While I didn't check out to watch it just to watch it, I basically felt the same way.
What how do you feel about that theme though of
spectacle?
I hate it.
Do you hate like the way they did it in the movie, or do you just
I
hate
like
it
the way
on
they
principle?
Did it. I hate it the way they did it. I mean, I like the way they did it. I think it's a little on the nose, but
which is fine.
It's like these horror movies always have to have, or at least good horror movies have a theme behind them, and I think having that a theme per se is it layers it well, right? This theme is stupid.
So I actually have the opposite opinion. I think that the theme I have seen done very well in other horror movies specifically. I just think in this movie, they actually didn't layer it well enough and didn't dramatize it well enough, in my opinion. That's what I would say. Because, a movie like freaking a Serbian film, which is all about exploitation and spectacle, while very cynical about it, I think this movie is a lot more optimistic about it. I think maybe because it's cynical and they take it to its furthest extreme, they can explore it and say more about it. Whereas I feel like in this movie, they just kind of wanted to say, hey, we're doing this. Form your own opinion about it.
Yeah.
Whereas in a movie like a Serbian film, they're like, hey, we're doing this. Fucking stop it. Like, never participate in doing anything.
But to me, that message just comes off so pretentious. It's like you guys want the fame. You guys want, like, I'm speaking in terms of, like these famous people, right? Because that's what really Jordan Peele's talking about. Is like we need to stop just like putting these famous people on pedestals, whether it's filmmakers, whether it's others. But it's like you guys, like, this is your thing. This is what you do. Like, you have an ego. Like, talk to any actor whatsoever, and they say the one thing that gives them the biggest rush is on screen when the curtains drop and everybody's clapping and cheering their names. That's like their favorite thing in the world. It's like,
I don't doubt that.
That's probably the most egotistical thing I've ever heard in my life. And I mean, it's warranted. That's the name of the game. You're acting. You're putting on a performance. You want people to see you. But you can't have your cake and eat it too. You can't be like, oh, I want to be famous. I want to be rich. I want to make, music. I want to make movies. I want to write books, whatever. I want people to know who I am. I want people to see my work. But leave me alone. Like, that's not how it works. I'm not saying these guys
retired for a reason.
Like, I'm not saying these guys have to be dicks to you or anything. Like, definitely don't, go stalk Selena Gomez in the middle of a Burger King parking lot because that's weird.
Yeah.
But like,
oddly specific.
Like, I don't know.
Have you gone to a Burger King?
If people are gonna talk crap about you online, it's like, it's kind of the bed you made, dude. Like, people are gonna talk about you because they want to be you. But B, just because you're someone, like, you can never, you always feel bad punching down, but punching up, it's like almost cathartic.
The other issue I have too is what spectacle specifically. Like, if it's just
That's another thing too I had.
Violent, just violence in general, I think the monkey thing works well. Make the movie about monkeys killing people.
Literally, we could have just had the Gordy movie.
Yeah.
I think it would have been a much more, I don't know about much more, but.
Because then you can focus specifically on, the obsession with true crime, or, people who are in love with serial killers, or, showing war on television, something like that.
Yeah.
I feel like the aliens, as a metaphor of our obsession with spectacle, doesn't make any sense to me, because is it about celebrity, like you're saying?
That's how I interpreted it.
Yeah. I don't know if that is what Jordan Peele intended.
It's just never clear.
I mean, I'll say this. To that end, this movie like the film industry is an element in this movie.
Yeah.
They are on film sets. They're literally wearing shirts that say crew on them. There's a character who's a cinematographer who uses a friggin' like 35 millimeter camera or something like that.
Handmade.
Like literally hand cranking. Like the film industry is an element in this movie.
Yeah.
But yeah, I what kind of spectacle? Because like, are they saying stop watching the Ukrainian war on TV, or are they saying like stop listening to crime podcasts, something like that?
Or just stop paying attention to filmmakers and let us make films.
Or even then, you could have like a kind of a society of spectacle, which is a philosophical book. But if they wanted to go down that route and make a commentary closer to like, the actual spectacle is like, capitalism and advertising. That's like the movie They Live did that just fine. Just do something, there's no similarity between these two movies. So it's like, I didn't, that's what I would say.
It falls apart.
Yeah.
Really quick.
Especially, and it's no help either, where when you look into, this movie and you read up on it, they'll say spectacle. And
we're just not supposed to be in awe of
list
anything ever in life again. Ever.
They list examples of like, they mention in the movie these like the cinematographer, for example, is shown editing film of animal attacks.
Yeah.
Is that it? Is this a movie about Michael Vick and animals fighting each other or something like that? Like, is that what you're really commenting on?
Tiger King?
Something like that? Yeah. The movie doesn't give a hard answer. And I feel like Jordan Peele is a director who has established himself as being able to give hard answers. Because, like, Get Out has a very explicit ending.
White people suck.
Yeah. Yeah. Unironically.
Oh, man. Yeah, I feel like if he was just more... I think he was trying to not... I didn't think he wanted to piss anybody off. Was his thing.
Maybe.
I think he wanted to play it safe and not call anybody out. And
especially
like,
at his
it's
level.
rich coming from I just went on that rant, but it is rich from a film director, writer, skit writer, comedian,
Renaissance man.
Did you guys know he painted the Mona Lisa? To be like, hey, stop watching stuff.
Yeah, maybe.
Because it's like,
yeah.
So if he would just came out and been like, yo, so like, you guys know how you go on CNN and like to watch like, I don't know, the Ferguson riots?
Yeah.
Like, stop. That's a bad example, but
I think if that was what he wanted to do, then he could have made the movie about. I mean, so if he's trying to criticize the people who are trying to monetize it, like, I'm going to exploit this for clicks and views, it's not strong enough because when they do capture the alien on camera, we don't see anything past that because it's just about them trying to get it on camera. If it was about criticizing people who try to monetize tragedy, then they would have captured a picture of the alien within like the first 30 minutes.
Yeah, that doesn't work because we are rooting for them.
Yeah.
Like, if you want us to feel bad about it, you're doing a very bad job by picking two really good actors and writing a funny script.
Yeah.
I'm sure a movie's done that before where they make you feel bad for rooting for the good guys, but
a Serbian film. Yeah.
And make it funny.
It's that's not a funny movie.
Well,
Cannibal Holocaust. Maybe. Not a bad example. Well, okay, hear me out. It is a movie about exploitation and people monetizing.
Cannibal Holocaust?
Yeah. And monetizing basically this super messed up situation. But it's also like, you don't feel glad that they're doing it. You're not rooting for them to do it.
When they chop off the turtle's head?
Yeah. And then they all die at the end of the movie.
Bless.
In fact, the director was convicted of murder.
I was going to say he was
because they thought it was real.
Yeah.
I definitely would agree with the idea that like if you're going to make a if you're gonna try to make a movie about criticizing our interpretation of media, how we obsess over it, this movie just didn't go as hard as it should have. I feel like he was probably in that zone of, this is a message and theme that a lot of people will understand and relate to, but I also want the movie to be something that everyone can understand and relate to. I feel like, I think of a movie like They Live, where it's like, it's so far out there and so weird that even people who are John Carpenter fans are like, what the heck is this, my guy? You know? So, yeah. I would say that I would agree with you that maybe he should have
just drawn a line in the sand.
Drawn a line in the sand and just gone with one specific just make up your mind, man.
Damn you, Jordan.
Maybe. That's what I would say. I think, yeah, if this movie was just about how horrible it is to monetize tragedy, make it exclusively about aliens. If this movie is about obsession with violent tragedy and stuff like that, the spectacle of that, go with the Gordy stuff. Go with the monkey.
Yeah.
I feel like he tried to balance both, and he ended up not making a statement about anything.
It's like the old football quote. If you have two quarterbacks, you have none. If you have two plot lines, you have none. Yeah. Anyways.
That's going in our book on screenwriting. Practical wisdom about screenwriting.
Do you have any other criticisms of it? Because there are some good positives that I want to get to. But
no.
Other critique? And that's mainly my main critique.
Yeah, I would say that for me was
the theme
really
and the plot just fell apart for me.
In terms of what I mean, I don't really have anything else to continue praising. I think the cinematography, the acting, the visual effects. I said I had something about the visual effects.
Talk to us.
When Gordy is going ham on the set and eating people, the monkey is CGI.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about that.
Obviously.
Obviously. It has to be. That being said, we've done Planet of the Apes, my guy.
Yeah.
We did literally, I think that was chimpanzees, but we've done primates.
Just pay $10 million.
Yeah.
Get Andy Serkis. We've done it
literally
before.
Like, we've seen this done, just higher quality. I understand that this is an independent movie to some degree. It's still Universal. And I understand that it is a horror movie. It's not, big blockbuster bringing in lots of money and people, but like I've seen this specific kind of shot just done better.
Yeah. No, I agree. That's the one thing where I was like, yeah, you could tell that's a fake monkey.
Mm-hmm. And every time they came back, because it was the exact same shot, every time they came back to it, it's too jarring.
That's where they saved all their money.
Maybe
just reusing the same shot.
Maybe, yeah. Yeah, seriously, they literally did that. They just reused the same shot. That being said, the alien at the end of the movie, when it unfolds and it becomes this literally like a curtain, looks well done. Looks pretty cool.
Looks well done.
All the lighting and shadows on it.
I hated that.
The design wasn't very intimidating.
That's why I hated it.
But I mean, whoever was
out
there,
like a Final Fantasy character, like a Final Fantasy boss. What is this nonsense? I didn't know I was playing freaking Kingdom Hearts 2.
Yeah, it looked like something out of Breath of the Wild.
Yeah, I was on board with the flying saucer, even though I thought we saw too much. That's another thing. Let's get there.
We saw
flying
too much
saucer.
of it.
Way too much of the flying saucer. Way too much.
It's one of those things where you see so much of it that you begin to wonder, what are they going to do with it next? What don't we know about it yet? I think the issue is, I expected it to be a horror movie. And so when we kept seeing the saucer, I kept thinking like, what is going to be scary next? Yeah. What is actually going to frighten me? There is a scene in this movie that was perfectly frightening. And I will not spoil it even in the spoiler section because it is very scary. I was well, now you're going to spoil it, aren't you?
No, I'm gonna give me a minute. Was it in the barn?
It was in the barn.
Okay. That's all we need to know.
It was in the barn.
Okay, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I agree. That scene was pretty good. That scene got me pretty good.
Yeah, that was pretty good. Outside of that, though, yeah, movie wasn't scary.
Have we learned nothing from Jaws? Spielberg talks about this in the making of Jaws. He's like, yeah, we saw the shark too much, so I cut out like 40 seconds.
Yeah.
It's like
40 seconds is a lot
that
of time.
is editing, like the basis of editing.
Yeah.
Right? Especially a scary horror movie, science fiction movie, whatever Jordan Peele was trying to do here. If you want to have dread or fear or suspense, you can't show it every time we look out into the valley. That's just like basics.
One of the most perfectly just suspenseful shots is a really good example of how you can show, how little you can show to create a suspense is in No Country for Old Men when they are in the motel together.
Yes.
Anton Chigurh is coming after, what's his name? And Josh Brolin.
Josh Brolin.
Yeah. Well, the character I was thinking, I couldn't remember the character.
I can't remember the character.
He's coming after Josh Brolin. When Josh Brolin enters the motel, there is a man at the counter, like a receptionist. And then we see Anton Chigurh enter the motel, and he talks to the receptionist. Josh Brolin escapes, and he re-enters the motel. Not only is the receptionist not there, but the door behind him is just slightly ajar. And we just pan over the counter to just see the door ajar and the darkness inside is just enough to tell you exactly what happened without showing you anything. When it comes to spectacle, by the way, No Country for Old Men is a fantastic example of not only how gruesome you can go, but also just how little, to the point where the little end of the movie, you don't see a single drop of blood by the end. And you're like, this is still incredibly violent. No Country for Old Men, good movie if you haven't seen it.
Spoiler alert, No Country for Old Men's a good movie.
Yeah, spoiler alert.
Even though it won multiple Oscars. 15-year reunion's coming up, I think.
Ooh.
We got to do
We
one
can
of
do
those.
that soon.
Yeah, we got to do it. And There Will Be Blood.
Ooh.
Should we just do a double feature?
We do a double feature?
They're so intertwined with one another.
Seriously.
They will always be intertwined. It's like Chinatown and Godfather Part 2. Yeah, I just thought we saw too much. Like, we were 20 minutes in.
Getting back on track.
Yeah. We were 20 minutes in, and the saucer goes over the hill, or over the mountain, I guess, because we're in the mountains. And I was like, okay, we saw it. We saw a little bit of it. We didn't see the whole thing. Saw a little bit more than I wanted to in terms of just like the actual ship.
Did you catch?
But like, I'm okay with it. And then it was like 5 minutes later. Oh, it's in the clouds. It's like, what?
Yeah.
Like we're watching it steal the horse.
Yeah.
Like, what? Like this? That's when I was like, okay, this isn't even gonna be scary.
Mm-hmm. That being said, though, so we have our own opinions of this movie. We are clearly in the minority.
Oh, Reddit loved it.
So I went to watch, whenever I don't like a movie that is very popular, I have kind of a reference point, and that is Chris Stuckman, who is a YouTuber who he's reviewed movies for a very long time.
Yeah.
I tend not to agree with him on a lot of stuff. So I usually go to him as a good reference point for somebody who does enjoy something that I don't.
That's good. That's what you should use reviewers, by the way, for.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah.
So
By the way, shout out Donkey for doing a great video on video game reviewers.
Oh, yeah.
And like I was saying, like if a video game reviewer doesn't like us, like he doesn't like JRPGs, but he was like, I like Persona 5, so that should tell you all you need to know about Persona 5. It's like, oh shit, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's what you should use review for. It's not for the freaking gospel.
If he doesn't like horror movies, and then he says
Conjuring is good.
Conjuring is good. Tells you a lot about Conjuring.
Yeah.
Yeah. If I don't like movies and I tell you I enjoy something, I should tell you all about that movie. So what I have seen people saying, and by people I mean Chris Stuckman, it seems generally people like this movie because there are enjoyable elements to it. And that seems to be the consensus I've seen. There's a lot of people say
it's Marvel's fault for this.
Maybe. I mean, we can go into that. I think people are saying this movie had good cinematography. This movie had good actors. This movie had good visual effects. This movie had good directing. This movie had an interesting theme. This movie had an interesting story. I enjoy movies that have enough of those. Therefore, this was an enjoyable movie. Like, people are treating this movie like a checklist. Like, all right, funny actors, cool. Interesting, somewhat interesting story, good enough. Movie is good to look
director
at. There we
that
go.
Everybody likes.
Yeah, check. So I feel like that's generally how people are approaching this. Is there's enough enjoyable stuff in this movie that we will give it, 80%. But I think the correct answer is it is not Jordan Peele's best movie, but it is arguably one of his more enjoyable movies.
I mean, he's only made 3.
He's only made 3.
It's not saying a lot.
Get Out. I would say Us is more enjoyable.
Do you think Jordan Peele is he gonna be the next M Night? To me, this is a crossroads, right? Because he makes Get Out, one of the movies we needed to know. One of the movies we needed at that time in our country, in the world, in life, whatever. One of the greatest movies, just as a movie of the decade of the 2010s. Fantastic piece of work. Puts him in the stratosphere. Then he makes Us, and while it's not the same level, it's good.
In your opinion?
It's good.
It is a good movie.
It's a good movie, yeah. I'm not saying it's a bad movie. I just don't think it's on the level of Get Out. But it's like, and then he makes this, which is I would even put this lower than those two. So it's like, does Jordan lean in to this? I'm talking like I know the guy, Jordan. But does he?
Does Mr. Peele?
I know, right? Does he lean more into this? And I hate to say what Reddit likes, but really what Reddit likes, or does he go
Reddit
back
core.
to more like auteur filmmaking, even though it's not really auteur filmmaking?
I hope that he not so much goes back, but leans into the idea that sometimes to make a statement on something,
Just gotta do it.
you have to actually be somewhat conclusive on like your thoughts and feelings. Like in a movie like Get Out, it's a movie about race. By the end of the movie, you know where Jordan Peele stands.
Yeah.
In a movie like Us, I feel like you know by the end of the movie what he feels. By the end of this movie, you're like, it's just a science fiction movie.
Yeah.
I don't feel like I understand,
Anything.
other than maybe the fact that he thinks like film crews deserve better, treatment on film sets. I don't think he really makes a big statement about anything so much in this movie. I feel like he has to, maybe hopefully in the future, I would like Jordan Peele to lean more into not just being conclusive, but also just being opinionated in his movies. Knowing that will, because Get Out, for as good as a movie as it is, absolutely alienated some people who saw it.
Yeah.
People had to have seen that and been like, either this isn't for me or what you're trying to say, my guy.
Yeah.
So I feel like he has to understand that actually will probably, people probably like that more. Is they like just, what's your opinion, my guy? What do you think about the society of spectacle? Do you think it's a good thing? If you think it is a bad thing, then every character in this movie should have died by the end of it.
Yeah.
But if you think that we can overcome it, then you should have shown us being in it more than you did, I think.
Sure.
I'm not telling you how to make your movie. I'm just saying.
I am.
Yes, I am telling you how to make your movie.
Pick a line. Don't be hypocritical.
I don't want to. I was, and I don't want to. That's just how I feel. I feel like in the future, it is better to just be more brash. I think if Jordan Peele came out with a movie
to ruffle some feathers.
Yeah, absolutely. You don't have to go as far as like John Carpenter did with They Live, where you're like, hey, this list of people could all die and we would be fine.
Yeah.
But you're a filmmaker with a massive platform. with something to say, clearly with something to say, and things you want to talk about, I would say don't be afraid to, get your elbows out.
Yeah.
That's my Formula One reference.
I'm excited to see if this, I guess not excited. I'm intrigued to see how well this does at the box office. 40-something mil opening weekend, which isn't the greatest
44
opening
million.
weekend, but for a science fiction quasi-indie film,
Yeah.
it's pretty good returns. I mean, it's against a $68 million budget, so it's not making money back.
We could everything everywhere all at once this movie,
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see where we go with this.
Yeah. We say quasi-independent because it was produced by his independent production company.
But
it was distributed by Universal.
Yeah.
So it's, not bad. We got the freaking Oppenheimer.
Are we gonna talk about that? Can we talk about that? So we got the Oppenheimer teaser. We already know this is gonna be the greatest movie of 2023. I can already tell.
I didn't think it was gonna be in black and white.
1 year from now. We didn't get much, but I just know it's gonna be the greatest thing of all time.
I don't think the whole movie is gonna be in black and white, but that'd be pretty cool. We haven't seen a black and white Nolan. Oh,
I mean, Memento.
this reminds me of something I was gonna say.
We saw Memento.
Yeah, that is true. Well, I was thinking Following, which was entirely in black and white. So, speaking of Nolan, when I came out of the theater a day later, I thought of something. So, in the span of Jordan Peele's entire career into the future, assuming, he continues to make movies, I think Nope will probably become more of a Jordan Peele completionist kind of movie. In the same way, I was thinking of Nolan because a movie like Insomnia, for example. People who want to see every Nolan movie ever made will watch Insomnia. But nobody is ever going to say, yeah, I'm feeling bored on a Friday, pop an Insomnia.
That's what I'm wondering. Is he going to do a Fincher Nolan or is he going to do an M. Night, like Michael Bay?
Yeah.
Where it's like, okay, I had one good movie. I had one movie less than that. And then I made like an average to okay movie.
Yeah.
So am I going to be like, all right, now I'm going to go make art? Or is it going to be like, I'm going to sell it and make garbage?
Well, it's like, I'm leaning more towards he continues to be a original creative filmmaker. I think that this might become. I'm leaning towards this movie is going to be his Insomnia, his Benjamin Button.
Sure.
Obviously, it could be the reverse, where Get Out and Us are his, freaking Signs and Unbreakable. Is that or is it Untouchables?
I think it's Unbreakable.
Yeah, his Bruce Willis movie.
I hate M. Night Shyamalan. We don't like M. Night, by the way, on this podcast. Or I don't.
Yeah.
I hate.
I have not seen enough of his movies.
Dislike that man with a passion. His films, at least. And him. Who calls themselves M? Just pick a name. Yeah, I'm.
P.T. Anderson.
Are you? Well, I mean, everybody knows him as Paul.
Yeah.
Are you excited for his next movie?
Yeah. I have seen every Jordan Peele movie up to now.
That's not saying much.
No. I saw the reason I dragged you to see this in theater is because I was like, I want to see more Jordan Peele movies. And so when he comes out with something else, I will see it. Even if the next thing he comes out with is like, a freaking Jane Eyre adaptation. I'm still going to be like, cool, it's Jordan Peele. I'll see it. If he just completely ditches horror altogether,
It'd be interesting, right? If he just ditch it. I wonder how far does he go with the horror?
That being said, I will not see things just because Jordan Peele is in it. I didn't see Keanu.
So you're not Reddit.
No. But like if it says directed by, produced by, written by.
Why do you let's talk about this real quick, and then we can go. Why does Reddit like Jordan Peele so much?
Because he's not so independent that he is like esoteric or at least obtuse, but he's not mainstream enough that he feels like he's being controlled by the man and being told what to do. That's probably why. Reddit likes that sweet spot. Reddit likes that you have, the big distributor, but you don't have
You're willing to be different.
You don't have the actual like art house-ness. He's in that sweet spot of art house, I think.
Speaking of independent versus studio, do you want to talk about the Joe Russo quote that came out?
What was it?
It pissed me. He was like,
I think
that Netflix is a superior studio, no. Here it was. We need to get rid of the idea of going to movie theaters because it's an elitist notion, and the future is in streaming and staying at home and this and that. It's like, MFR, you made $6 billion off of 3 movies because of the movie theaters. Who are you to come at movie theaters just because Netflix was like, here's $500,000 or $500,000? When I saw that quote, I got so pissed. Like, I hate these people who I don't hate, but I hate people who are like, oh, I'm never gonna go to a movie theater. Like, oh, Netflix is the future. First off, you're killing society, and second off, like, okay, you're not cool just because I don't like going to the movie theaters. Okay, have fun enjoying a product in an inferior way in every conceivable fashion. Literally.
So I don't know if that is verbatim what he has said. The quote I have found.
What are you talking about?
Hold on.
Oh, what Joe Russo said?
The quote I have found is that to him, in his opinion, he likes Netflix because, he feels like everybody wins. There's no necessarily a barrier to entry when it comes to Netflix. Everything is available. You don't have a window you have to go see it within. That's what he thinks. Now,
but he also calls going to a movie theater an elitist notion that we need to get rid of.
Yeah, to be fair, I feel like
it's literally like the first thing he says.
In my
sure,
opinion,
he might have tried to backtrack and be like, "Oh, well, it's actually because," but it's like, no, dude, you called out people who go to movie theaters, the same people who supported your mediocre filmmaking. Oh, I got a lot of words to say.
It's one of those things where it's like he's just not the person to say that. What's funny is I feel like if David Fincher said that with him now producing at Netflix, I feel like that would give you pause. You would be like, is he onto something here? What does Fincher has to say?
We can read between the lines. David Fincher's only on Netflix because Netflix is the only one willing to give him money. Yeah. It's the same reason Scorsese's on making a movie for Apple.
That's fair enough.
Like, these guys just want to make movies.
Yeah.
I mean, Nolan left Warner Brothers.
Yeah.
Why? Because Warner didn't want to give him.
They didn't want to fund the dropping a nuclear.
They didn't want to give him money, and then the whole Tenet fiasco. Was the thing.
Releasing
so it's like these dudes just want to
COVID.
put movies, like at least the old guard, right? They just want to put movies on big screens.
And I
on
feel
screen.
like what's funny is that Joe Russo is not the new guard. To me,
he's not even a guard. He's a machine created by the mouse to put out his product. Like, he acts like he's freaking Francis Ford Coppola coming out of the 5-year run that Coppola had. Like, my guy, you haven't even like. I can't even have words. I'm so.
Are you gonna say something anytime soon?
Oh my god!
I feel like the Russo brothers are looking at the Safdie brothers and are like, "We want what they have."
Yeah, but the Safdie brothers put stuff on big screens.
No,
and they make good movies.
Absolutely, yeah. I feel like that's what they want though. They want like the credibility that the Safdie brothers have, and I feel like they want that by
or the Coen brothers.
Yeah. Okay. You can't even compare the Safdie brothers to the Coen brothers.
No, I'm not.
But
I'm not. I'm just saying. They see all these brothers in Hollywood, and they're like, we want to do.
We want in. We want in. But we want our own lane, and that lane is going to be streaming. So we're gonna, pitch that to everybody.
Which is fine.
It's fine. Just
it's the
go
right
away.
message, wrong messenger.
Yeah. I think that's why I think somebody like David Fincher, like if David Fincher completely turned around and he was like, I think this is the absolute future. We should all get in on this. That might give you pause. But I feel like because it's the Russo brothers, who's basically just the filmmaking equivalent of an industry plant.
Yes.
You're like, cool, my guy.
There, if like,
why don't you keep your thoughts to yourself? If you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all.
There, if like Dua Lipa just started calling out the Grammys.
Dua Lipa.
You are Billie Eilish was like, you know what? Music's stupid. It's like, my sister in Christ, you're only in here because of your parents. Like, what do you mean?
And you're only in here because of your brother.
Like, you were supported all the way through, and then just for you to be like, nah, This is actually stupid.
Yeah.
You don't get to say that.
Yeah. If the
At least without us talking shit about you.
Not without us calling you a hypocrite.
Yeah.
Maybe,
yeah, that quote drove me. Also, this movie is bad. From what I've heard. I'm not going to watch it. I don't watch Netflix movies.
I mean, there are examples of people, like, continuing with music, for example. There are people who have been in the industry, left it, been independent, and then because they're like, we don't want to work for the industry anymore. We're tired of it. We're going to... And they took the risk and pursued being independent artists because they felt like that was where they could better, explore and expand upon their messages and make the art that they wanted.
Yeah.
There are great examples of that.
Taylor Swift is doing it right now.
Yeah.
She's re-releasing all of her albums under her own thing, however that works out. But it's like you're actually taking the risk and willing to do so.
Yeah. Radiohead did that too.
Even though it's Taylor Swift and she's basically the music's version of the MCU. Regardless.
My example is Radiohead, where they dropped their label, released not only an independently released without a label, but they did it online where you could name your own price.
Nice.
They're like, if you want it for free, download it for free.
That's dope. Yeah.
And they have been independent since then, although they are now on the label. And I feel like there are examples of people like, I think Jordan Peele is a good example too. Going from Comedy Central, where he could have gone from Comedy Central to just be like, Universal, fund everything I do. And they would have been like, yeah, dope. Hey, Viacom, fund everything I do, which is Universal anyway.
But no.
It's not, no. I immediately realized how incorrect that was. But it is Viacom, I believe.
What?
Isn't it? Don't they own Comedy Central?
I think
you might be right. I think so too.
Yeah.
I feel like he could have done that, and he chose not to. He said, no, I'm going to start my own independent, production company, and I'm going to
do my own thing. Yeah.
Fund the movies that I want. So where this conversation is going, I have no idea. I think it's going to end
with us hating Joe Russo.
It's ending with Vettel leaving Aston Martin to pursue independent racing.
Shout out. We're going to see him at NASCAR in like a year.
He's going for his Triple Crown is what he's going for. He's been the 4-time world champion.
That'd be exciting.
Got to win Le Mans and got to win IndyCar.
Indianapolis. Well, he won Monaco, yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah.
Oh, it's specifically Monaco.
It's specifically Monaco.
I'm thinking of Alonso because Alonso has like a 4th quadruple crown at this point.
Sure. I don't know how that works.
He won Monaco.
Yeah.
And he won friggin' Le Mans. And he's a world champion. Formula 1.
Yeah, but the Triple Crown is the Indy 500.
I know, but he's also a world champion, so it's kind of like a quadruple crown,
Yeah, but you're missing the 3rd crown. How is it a quadruple crown if you're still missing the 3rd crown?
No. It's a separate category. If he
so
wins,
it's okay, so he has 2 crowns and he has a gemstone in the middle.
Yeah,
we'll say that.
Yeah,
he's still missing the 3rd.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's fair.
The Formula 1 World Championship is the jewel in his crown, basically.
Yeah. That's fair. I can look at it like that.
Horrible analogy. The historical context.
Yeah. Anyways, any last thoughts, prayers, comments, concerns?
I'm not concerned that Jordan Peele is going to flub his career. I'm only concerned that he makes milk toast, middle of the road, 4-quadrant.
That's where I think
horror
he goes.
Movies. That's where you think he goes.
I think so.
I think he does too, but I
hope he
does
doesn't. Correct. I'm with you. Glad we're on the same page. I think he just sees the reaction that's like, oh well, I can just make a checklist movie.
People liked it. People liked me more when I killed more people in my movies. I gotta do more of that.
Yeah, precisely.
What's funny too is that Nope starts where you're like, WTF, and then it kind of fizzles out. Get Out is the opposite, where it starts where you're kind of like, this is kind of fizzly, and then it ends WTF, and you're like, I feel like that's just a stronger story structure.
Just like meets in the middle.
Yeah, Us is just like WTF. Why is this fizzling out? But WTF. Pretty much.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's his MO. I still stand by my original recommendation, though. If you enjoy his other movies, you will almost certainly find something in this that you enjoy. It is not scary. It's not a horror movie. It's honestly barely even a sci-fi movie.
It's not a sci-fi movie.
But it's there. It's interesting.
It's a movie.
And I definitely think in the future,
To go
people will
watch.
look back on this as being a completionist, a Jordan Peele completionist.
Where would you tier this?
Compared to his other ones, or just standalone?
I mean, however you've been comparing movies before.
Well, like compared to Get Out and Us. I would say this is probably like a C tier. Just in general.
I would give it a
Even
C tier.
compared to his other movies. Get Out is an A, Us is a B, and this is a C.
He might get a D or an S.
Hopefully he doesn't get a D. That's the two possibilities. He either gets a D or he gets a friggin', double S.
Double S tier.
That's,
All right.
That's the future.
We're out of here. Thank you for listening
Very
to
nice
my
man, by the
to rant. Shout out to Jordan Peele for talking all basically telling all the Twitter heads shut up.
Yeah, shut up.
When
I'll give him
everybody's
that
like,
much.
"Oh my God, you're the greatest ever. You're the GOAT." It's like, dude, have you seen any movies?
Yeah.
I love that. That's
Shout
my
out.
favorite thing about it.
Seriously.
So at least he doesn't have.
At least he has integrity.
Yeah. At least he's willing to pay homage to the greats that came before him.
Shout outs to your referencing Akira for one shot in this movie. I still don't know if that is physically possible to do. You'd probably break your leg doing it.
Wasn't. I mean, she did break her leg in the shot.
Seriously?
Or in the scene.
So
not that. I don't think the actual character did.
Yeah.
But she was limping.
No, absolutely.
Yeah.
That
Anyways,
absolutely has to hurt to do.
we are out of here. We will see you guys next week with the topic
Of our choosing. Then.
Yeah, we'll figure it out eventually.
Or
might be another movie review at this
might be
point.
another movie review.
Might just review 52 movies this year.
Yeah. Minions, Rise of Gru.
No,
Next week.
not happening. Anyways, we're out. See you guys later.